Good evening, everybody. How are we all? Yay! Everyone survived the rain? I hear it's a little bit treacherous getting down here. We've got a few people that are live streaming in to join us because they couldn't get out of a boot on the scooters, unfortunately. But that's okay. So I just wanted to welcome you all down here. For me, it's super exciting. Tonight is all about having two tribes, one goal, and that is connection. So some of you know me through Mindvalley. So I'm a Mindvalley Master Certified Trainer, and so I work with Mindvalley around the world in all different capacities. But I've recently just joined the Genius Group. So the Genius Group of companies has Entrepreneurs Institute, Genius U, and the amazing Genius Cafes. Woo! Yes. So this is Genius Cafe. For those of you that haven't been down here before, this is actually a really cool co-working space. So you can come down here during the day and get your work done while looking at the beach. So that's a pretty cool thing to do, right? Now, what I want to talk to you about tonight, though, is the Entrepreneur Socials. I'm super excited because I've joined up with the guys from Byron Bay in Australia, and we're launching our socials in January. So the guys have been kind enough to let me practice my skills on you guys tonight to make sure that I know what I'm going to do when I run it for myself, yeah? So what is an Entrepreneur Social? We're going to do monthly talks around the world with conscious entrepreneurs coming to share their story and allowing you guys to do Q&As as well. So, Roger, would you mind joining me? I just want you to come over and say a few words as our sponsor for the night and giving us the Genius Cafe.
Hi, Jade. Are you going to ask me some questions, or do you want me to just share a little bit?
What sort of questions would you like me to ask?
No, I don't know. You just want me to just share
You're on the spot now. I can ask anything I want. No, I thought you're kind enough to give us your time tonight. If you can just share a little bit about what the vision is for the membership around the world and how it's going to help all of the tribes get together.
Okay. So let me start by saying thanks for being here, and can we please give Jade a big round of applause for hosting tonight? As Jade mentioned, she is running Entrepreneur Socials in Byron Bay. We now have 70 cities around the world where we are running Entrepreneur Socials, which are for social entrepreneurs, and quite a number of you are here in the room as well. So we have like Rose, for example, all the way from America, who's running them in Lake Tahoe, and we've got a whole bunch of others that are happening here in this room. Everything that we're about is really supporting the entrepreneur movement, because as we know, there are entrepreneurs that are every single day deciding they're going to start their business, and at the moment, we're at about 600 million around the world. We're going to be over 1 billion within the next 3 years. So there's this huge growth that's happening. I have had a long-running relationship with Afest, with Mindvalley, with Vision. I was at the first Bali event as one of the speakers, and then we actually had a whole group that came on board and came along to our resort. We have a resort here as well. Got connected up with our community, and then also very recently, hands up was at the Afest very recently. Okay, so a few of you were at the one that just happened here as well, and then hands up. Who here is part of already Entrepreneurs Institute, Entrepreneur Resource in some form? Who do we have? So quite a number of people already in the community as well. And we're connecting the different communities around the world through not just our programs and ways that we can support entrepreneurs, but also through these locations. So this is Beach Club number 1. We have got quite a number of people I didn't even know were necessarily going to be here today. We have Malcolm, who actually organized the project management of this entire beach club. So let's give Malcolm a round of applause. We have Simone, who's the general manager of not just the beach club, but also of our resort here in Bali. Let's give her a round of applause. And we started with a little idea, which was, wouldn't it be great if we could actually have co-working spaces on the beach and have resources we can actually go and visit? And that idea grew from an idea 3 years ago to one where today we've turned that company, Entrepreneur Resource, into a public listed company. We have got 2 resorts, one in Bali, another one in South Africa on a safari, and a third one now starting up in Thailand. And we're now replicating this beach club. We now have got 2 here 2 Genius Cafes in Bali. We have one in South Africa, and we are about to launch one in London, where we bring them to cities, where we can have co-working spaces in cities for socially minded entrepreneurs to then connect with each other as well. And our goal is to have 50 of these in different cities within the next 5 years. So we're on a pretty big growth phase, but we're seeing this huge demand. As you can see tonight, that who wouldn't rather be down on the beach and being able to kind of work and hear some great stories from entrepreneurs here, as opposed to being in the middle of cities. And so this for us is like a really massive part of how we can support entrepreneurs around the world. So very excited by it. One final thing I'll share before just handing back, as you mentioned about the membership, one thing that we're doing at the moment is we're looking for smart ways to bring the whole entrepreneur community and the movement to all the different cities around the world, wherever you happen to be. This weekend, we've got our annual conference, which is happening here. We've got people flying in from around the world. I'm sure you'll hear more about that later tonight. If you're interested, you can come join us. No cost. We're here in Bali already, so just come join us on that and just see what's going on with the entrepreneur movement. And also a membership. Later on, you can hear more about that as well. If you'd like to actually connect up with us all around the world, we'd love you to do that too, where we can then keep you up to date with all the events we've got, with all the communities that we're working with, and to know that in every spot where we go, it's about how do you create more success for yourself, but then how do you also create success for everyone locally that's in the local area, so that we can really make a big difference and make a social impact everywhere we go as well. As well as having Jade, who has been doing some awesome work with us. It's great to hear Rory tonight as well. Rory's been one of our mentors and has been doing amazing work within our community as well. So I am going to be sitting back as a participant tonight and listening just like you to some awesome information. So thank you very, very much for being here and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Roger. So one thing Roger didn't mention is that the whole Genius movement is also aligned with the global goals. So with the UN and how we can connect and how we can support other conscious entrepreneurs. So being a part of that community allows you to get into circles as well and meet up with other people that have the same causes as you. And to me, I just got goosebumps. To me, that's like a really powerful thing to be a part of. And it's great when you're traveling as well to be able to find someone else that's got the same values and the same, drive, and everyone cares about each other. Whereas it can be so lonely, as we all know, when we're traveling around the world and you're like, oh, where's my people at? So it's a great tribe to connect into. And if you want to know more about that, you can come talk to me about it later. But I'm going to bring Rory on now. I was really blessed that I had Rory as my iLAB facilitator 18 months ago. And he put me through my paces for 2 weeks before I jumped on a plane and flew to Barcelona for my very first Mind Valley U to have my mind blown. So that was 6 weeks of serious transformation and epic mind-blowingness. Rory, I didn't know at the time, was also an Afester. So we instantly connected. It was like, okay, you get me. I can talk the same language. And he's been on an amazing journey. He is an old soul that is far beyond his years, although he still has his boyish good looks. We'll let him have those. But being an allied health professional, he'd been through some turmoil of his own. He'd reached a stage of, I can say, burnout, as many of us have before we come on these journeys. And he's found some solutions for us. So I'm really excited to hear what he's got to say tonight, because I'm sure that I still need to integrate some of it. But, we're slow learners sometimes, but we'll get there. So Rory, I'm going to bring it over to you now. Thanks.
Big round of applause for Jade as well, thanks. And Jade, I've got to steal that little clicker, if that's okay. No? Thank you.
I told you, I'm going to be the presser.
All right. Okay, thank you everyone for being here. I really say that from the bottom of my heart because, I know it was raining. I know this is on the other side of the island for some people. I know Ubud this is what, 30, 40 minutes? And a lot of you got here on scooters as well, right, when it was potentially raining. So thank you to you. What I'd love to do is just get a show of hands. Who here is from, say, Europe? Show of hands? Okay, cool. So maybe a third, maybe quarter of the room. Who here is from Australia? Aussies, I like ya. Okay. What about from United States, Canada, that side of the world? I know you guys aren't the same. We can't say that. What about the Chinas, the Singapores, the Asias? Who's from that part? Just Roger. Awesome. And what about South America? Anyone from that part of the world? Yes, we met before. Perfect. So the beautiful thing about that is you can see you're in a global community, right? And that's a beautiful thing to be part of. And that's the reason why I live in Bali now, because I used to live in the southwest of Australia, which was one of the most isolated cities in the world. And I just was not having these conversations every day. I wasn't hanging around like-minded people who talked about visions and ideas. I was hanging around people that were talking about getting a car and going to university, getting a mortgage, and then retiring when they're 60 or 70. And I just knew for me that wasn't where I wanted to go. Does anyone relate to that at all? That's probably why you're all here in Bali, right? So, what I want to do is, and Jade was good enough to talk about the reason why a lot of us are here. We're working towards the Sustainable Development Goals. Does anyone from the audience know what they are or what they're about? Donna? Yeah. Tell me.
It's a way to make the world a better place.
I think that'll do. No, but there's 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So basically, it's you'll see, especially in Bali, there's so many people worried about like zero waste, extreme poverty. Maybe it's women's empowerment. Maybe it's good health and well-being. Maybe it's quality education. There's a lot of people here that care about the water, and we see that showing up in every space. So the cool thing is we can actually group together under the different Sustainable Development Goals, and we can start to work together to solve that problem in this lifetime, in this generation. Yeah, hoo-ha. So the thing is we can do it, and we're young enough to do it. If we can get this world into a situation that we're in right now, then surely we can flip it and send it back the other way. And I think there's something extremely special happening in Bali at the moment. And I would like to think it's, the Silicon Valley thing happened and it was a tech hub and so on and so forth. There's this social entrepreneur hub in Bali that I want to plant the seed for, because I think that there are so many co-working spaces, so many purpose-driven people, so many people that are coming from the heart and the gut rather than the head, yeah? Who agrees with that? Yeah? So, my job as a health professional was to go on my own personal journey, and self-care has been a journey for me as much as it's a journey for everyone here. It's a way to really optimize your own vibration, to be unrestricted in your physical, mental, your emotional body, so that you can go and serve from overflow, so you can go and serve and have a bigger impact. Yeah? Does that relate to everyone? So, because the thing is I see is like we've got this system where we're stuck. There's a lot of us that are in this real low vibration, whether it's restricted in our health or our mind, or maybe it's the food we eat, or maybe it's the environments we're in, maybe it's in our connections, our relationships. And this prevents us from getting in that radical alignment and then doing the thing that we've always wanted to do and being the person that we always wanted to be. So I want to give you a bit of a pre-frame that self-care is about that. It's not just food, it's not just movement, it's not just lifestyle and living in Bali, it's not just work and what we do and how we make money, it's everything. It's about us as humans, it's about how we connect with each other, and it's also about Spaceship Earth, right, and how we look after it for future generations. Sound good? All right. So I've only got 20 minutes, and this for me is, I've probably already used 5 of that already. So I'm gonna give you a really top-level view of what I've been working on for the last 5 years, and, well, probably 10 actually. And then I'm going to have a dialogue with you, because I want this to be more about you than it is about me, and I want you to walk away from here with some self-realizations, maybe some frameworks, and some conversations that you can have with other conscious people in Bali. Is that cool? Awesome. So this is probably the one statement that I think, like, everyone keeps asking me, like, what's your one message? What's your one message? What's the one thing that you can share with the world? And it's actually by Deepak Chopra and Rudolph Tanzi from their book, I Super Genes. But they've summed up what everyone else is talking about in a very succinct way. And who agrees that only 5% of who we are is outside of our control? Who agrees that only 5%? It's pretty radical, because that means that 95% of who we are right now, who we become tomorrow, and what we do is up to us. We've been taught the opposite way around. We've been taught to be the passenger. We need to go see that health professional to get better. We need to go pay for that thing to do the next thing. We just get stuck relying on other people when we are our best doctor. We are our best health professional. We are our best entrepreneur. We are the one that can have the biggest impact in the world. And we can have it all. We can be happy, we can be healthy, we can be connected. But somehow we give that to other people. We give it to relationships. We blame it on the marketing and the food that we choose to eat and not eat. We blame it on the gym membership that didn't work. But they are all still our choices. And yes, certain things in the world happen, like young children are born with leukemia and things like that. Like the young fellow that set up the Make-A-Wish Foundation, or spurred it on anyway. His energy, he showed up every day and he made a choice to be a superhero. Yeah? Does anyone know the story of the Make-A-Wish Foundation? I won't go into too much detail because I think I'm 10 minutes into my talk already. But the key thing is he couldn't choose to be born with that chronic illness. He got to choose how he showed up every day. And he got to choose the legacy he had in his short 7-year lifespan. So most of you have already surpassed that. Most of you, the average lifespan is going to be about 72 years. If you live in some of the blue zones in the world, which I'll talk about in a sec, you might live to 85 years and beyond. But that's a pretty long lifespan to make some cool choices, yeah? All right. So who agrees that we should have good health and well-being for all people at all ages everywhere in the world? Okay, cool. So we're in agreement with that. Guess what the truth is? Does anyone know what the truth is? What percentage of the world is in a state of good health and well-being or longevity? 20, 10, 10's getting closer. Yeah. So this, Shane, can we zoom that out at all? I might get your help here, but these are statistics from the World Health Organization, right? So 1 in 2 people are living with a chronic preventable disease. So think cancer, think stroke, think heart attacks, think type 2 diabetes. And when I say cancer, I'm talking like all the abnormal growths that shouldn't be growing in our body, right? So 1 in 2 people right now, so you split 50% in this room, 50% in this room, 1 in 2 of us, if it was a global statistic, 7.6 billion people are living with a chronic preventable disease right now. I saw these people in the hospital. I worked with these people. I had to walk the respiratory patients 10 meters down the hallways and see their oxygen saturation levels deplete. I had to watch the cancer patients go through the next thing of chemotherapy. I had to watch the people have the total knee replacements. I had to watch the people trying to regain function after having a stroke and losing half of the function of their body. And they're our parents. They're our family members, our friends, right? So do you find it crazy that 19 out of 20 people are living either with a chronic disease right now or they've got some level of restriction and dysfunction, which means that only 5% of the world right now is in a state of really good health and well-being. And only 1% gets a chance to really maybe leave this world without being restricted at all. 5%. Please tell me that this really hits your heart, right? Now, when you think, when you think in your mind, think of the first 3 people that you think of: family, friends, maybe it's your mum, maybe it's yourself, and then relate that statistics to that. Boom. If you didn't care about it before, you care about it now, right? Because it's beyond us. And there'll be something really cool at the end which shows what the solution is. So have a chat with the person next to you. Where do you think you are on this spectrum? And this is a beautiful diagram I've integrated from Health Dynamics, which is part of what Roger's community. But do you feel like you're in that red zone where you're already living with something? And that's up for you to share that or not. Are you someone who's got like some level of restriction? Maybe it's a sore back, a sore shoulder, maybe some mental health issues, maybe some gut issues, maybe there's something that just doesn't seem to go away and you're spending a lot of money with healthcare professionals. Do you feel like everything's going pretty good and you don't really have any issues at all? Or do you feel like everything is going so good that you're looking towards longevity and how you can live forever and potentially live to 142? So just have a chat with your partner. Just have a chat whether you're red, orange, green or blue. So just make sure you're having a chat with somebody. Doesn't matter who, make friends. It's so hard. Okay, so if it's okay, I'm going to bring it back in because the answer should be pretty simple. Now, I'm not going to ask you to share this stuff. I just want, because basically you're either here or you're not, right? So who feels like they're in the green zone or the blue zone? Just show of hands. Okay. Well, you guys you got a bit of breathing space if you're here, you're living in Bali. The chances are you can look after yourself quite well. So, but that means that the rest of us, you know, there's either something we're working on and we're trying to get back on top of and get our body functioning normal again. There's something that is restricting us from being the person we want to be, mentally, physically, emotionally. You know, the statistics of low back pain alone is huge, right? So just note that for yourself, all right? And you don't need to tell anyone else about it, but just take a little self-check. Now what I want you to do is chat to the person next to you. What's your biggest health challenge right now? So what's the one thing, if I had a magic wand and I could just get rid of it, or I could improve it if you're in the longevity world, what would you be looking for? What would be the challenge that you need solved? So, just again, have a chat with the person next to you. One health challenge you would love solved, like right now, magic wand. Okay, again, just a quick one. So, who's brave enough to ask for what they want and ask for a solution to a challenge that they have in their life right now? Would anyone like to share what their health challenge is that they would like support with? Insomnia. So you'd like to sleep better? Yeah. Does anyone relate to not being able to sleep extremely well at night? Okay, so there's a fair few people in the room. Thank you for being brave enough to go first. I've also had that as well. It's just two more. Who else would like to share a health challenge they have? Is anyone else brave enough? What we got? What, sorry? Mold toxicity. Does anyone else have something related with mold or toxicity? Okay, well, there's 3 people in the room who are trying to solve the same problem. Okay. And one more. Who else would like to share? Sorry?
Yeah, kind of just constant feeling of fatigue. So the ideal would be unlimited energy.
Who else would like unlimited energy? Okay, all right. Now, the other common things that obviously come up, you'll see in your marketing on your Facebook ads and stuff, will be weight loss is a big one. Maybe it's a way to have bigger muscles for the guys. Maybe for the women, it's that beach body. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's something to do with your mental health. Maybe it's something to do with your emotional health. Maybe it's something to do with your relationships. Maybe it's something to do with the health of your environment that you live in, or your inability to travel because you work too much. All these things impact us, right? So, my story was very much similar to yours. What was your name? Alexander. So I got to a point where, I grew up in the Southwest, real quick. Single mum, worked her absolute butt off. She gave me the hard work ethic. She taught me compassion. She taught me empathy, which I'll be forever grateful for. My dad wasn't around much. He suffered from mental health issues. He used alcohol to escape those mental health thoughts. And then from there, he ended up living on the streets of the community that I very well lived in. So I grew up seeing a lot of these things. And then from that, my mum, being a single mum, she put me in an all-boys school, thought it would give me discipline. I found football, which sort of kept me out of the riffraff and made sure that I stayed healthy. And then from there, people started to see things in me, and they're like, well, okay, you should go to university. And I said, okay, well, I will. So I did sports science to learn how to be a better athlete. Did exercise physiology, neuromuscular biomechanics, all those fancy words that the health professionals use with you. And then I got to a point where I broke down when I was playing football. I got stress fractures in my back. This was my first introduction into the health and wellbeing space, because Mum spent, as a single mum on a single wage, about $6,000 trying to get my back right so I could play football, because I had a vision to be a professional athlete. So she moved mountains, right? And so that was the first time I was ever dissatisfied with the healthcare system, and seeing people willing to take money but not willing to solve the problem. And, I guess I was sort of a little bit disheartened from that experience. I didn't realise until later. And then once I finished that first degree, I kept playing football, and then Kerry Smith said, I think you need to do something else. So she said, go do a Masters of Physiotherapy. I didn't know how to do it. We've got amazing details, organised people here, which I am not. I'm very creative, very visionary, love to do things on the fly. So Kerry did the forms, I got into the Masters of Physio. So then I ended up being a physiotherapist for the football club that I worked for, I used to play for. And then something interesting happened. I started to look at healing the kids that I used to be, the ones that would break down. And then I wanted to help the older athletes, longevity, stay longer, right? But then what happened is I burnt out at 25, 26. So rock bottom, 0% battery. And this was interesting because I was a health professional without my health. Is anyone in the health and wellness space and you've been really unwell? Just so I know that I'm not the only one. Yep. So that was where I really stepped back and I had to look at the system. And funnily enough, it led me to Afest in Thailand. Because I backed off my hours and I said, listen, I've got to do something different because this is obviously not working for me. I woke up in the morning and I said, am I happy? I said, no. Am I healthy? I said, no. Do I feel connected to myself and the world around me? I said, and the people I cared about and my relationships? I said, no. So what do you do when you answer no to those questions? All three. You go to Afest. You change something, right? You change something. So I ended up at Afest, and I've got people like Sarah Blacker, who's here with me now. She's a good friend of mine. She was at Afest with me in Thailand, and I went there with a vision. I was like, I'm going to change the healthcare system. I'm young enough and ugly enough to do it. I'm going to put my energy into it. I'm going to find people that want to do the same thing. I've had that experience. I've seen it. It's not working. I know the stats. I walked out with all those self-realizations, and I was like, it's time to do something, but I had no freaking idea how to do it. So this was something that came to me at the time. And there was 6 realizations spurred on by the Dalai Lama. I was brought up a Christian. This for me just started popping into my space. You know, who's found these like little memes, these vibrations? They just keep popping up. These words, these things. They just keep on showing up. Whether it's a conversation, whether it's on an Instagram, or whether it's anywhere. I just found this one just kept on hitting me in the face. And it said the thing that surprised me most about humanity, which is all of us, right, is that we sacrifice our health in order to make money. Then we sacrifice that money to recuperate our health, which is exactly what I did. I spent $100,000 buying my health back as a health professional. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. So we go and do a lot of meditation and things to chill out. And the result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then he dies as if he's never really lived. He dies as if he's never really lived. And I think Jim Carrey said something interesting. He said, imagine falling into your grave as a version of yourself that you never were. I was like, so I don't know why Jim Carrey's popping up in my space now, but he is. But these are the 6 things that happened. I realized that you and I are a miracle. A freaking miracle. And let me convince you in 1 minute. You're 1 in 4 to 5 trillion chance of being born. Trillion. Your parents meeting, if you extrapolate that backwards, them being born and them meeting and having you is even more unlikely. So we should all have this immense gratitude from the day we take our first breath, right? We've got the 97, the same elemental makeup as those stars you see in the sky. I know this is the deep woo-woo stuff that everyone just goes... You're 99.5 genetically the same as the person next to you. So just look at the person next to you and smile. You are more the same than you are different. Male or female, by the way. 70% the same genetic blueprint as a banana. So we're connected to our food and the world around us. So we're connected to the universe, we're connected to our food, we're connected to each other, and I happen to be wearing a banana shirt tonight. Average human lifespan is 72 years. From the moment you wake up, you have 623,712 hours based on that average. So why do you spend an hour of your time doing something that you don't enjoy doing or not in the service of others? You have 37.2 trillion cells. You are 10 times that in bacteria. So if you have a mold thing or something going on in your body, you have 10 times bacteria than you do have cells. And each of those cells is replaced 50 million times per second. So right now, boom, 50 million cells regenerated. Every second. Every second. Our body is so much smarter than we think it is. But we think we need to fix it and heal it. It's going okay. 115,000 heartbeats, 86 million bits of information processed per day in your brain, and 70% of you is water. Yet we all argue about all the other stuff and we don't drink enough water. Let's focus on the big stuff, right? The 11 medicines, I don't have time to go into this, but nature, I learnt that nature is medicine. When I went surfing, I felt better. Connection is medicine. When I connect with you guys and I try to do things with people as communities, as tribes, life becomes easier. I become healthier when I'm around healthy communities. I become less healthy when I'm around less healthy communities. Genes are medicine, but it's only 5% of who I am. 95% is my choice, it's my epigenetics, it's how my genes choose to express themselves. My mind, conscious, unconscious, subconscious, it determines, I can manifest anything in this mind with the right action, with the right tribes, with the right communities. Food is medicine, but it's not the veganism, it's not that type of stuff, it's plant-based, it's about the soil, it's about the water, it's about the absence of nasties, yeah? It's about nutrient saturation. Movement is medicine, motion is lotion. Every single cell that I talked about in our body heals through movement, except if you break your hand. That's the only one time you don't do that. Lifestyle is medicine, living in Bali versus living in a concrete jungle. Work is medicine, doing something you love, doing something you hate. Spirituality is medicine. You can be Buddhist, you can be atheist, you can be whatever you want, but you have to have some level of connection to something bigger to know that we're here for a reason, right? Creationism, reincarnation, whatever it is, everything comes from nothing and vice versa, right? Modern medicine, it's got its place. If I break my hand, I'm going to go see the best doctor in Perth and make sure it gets fixed. Technology is medicine. Social media has connected us, but it's also created a lot of mental health issues, right? So there's a yin and yang to everything we do. Then I just went, okay, well, let's figure this out. Here's a framework. Well, genetics is only 5% of who I am. My mind controls what food I eat, my nutrition, my physical body, my movement, my work and lifestyle balance, my beliefs and spirituality, who I choose to connect myself in and what environments I live in. So then it became really simple. And this is what I want to teach people. I want to teach people how to fill their own cup and how to serve from overflow. And then you can create a ripple effect, an impact, a legacy, something that goes beyond you. How cool would that be? How cool would it be if we could flip those statistics and 1 in 2 people aren't living with a chronic preventable disease. 1 in 2 people are living in blue zone communities around the world. Would that be cool? Living to beyond 85. Yeah? Not dying because of chronic preventable diseases. So who's heard about the blue zones? Just quickly. Yep, show of hands, maybe 5 or 6 people. Who wants to give a little 30-second overview of what they think it is? Who knows? Who knows? I think, Roger, you might be able to talk about blue zones.
Have we got no Afesters that were in Sardinia earlier this year for the blue zone?
Yeah, so those areas of the world where it's just proven that people live for a longer period of time, and they're now getting some pretty good scientific data as to why that is.
And basically, it's places you wouldn't expect. It's a Seventh Adventist community in California. It's in Costa Rica. It's Sardinia in Italy. They drink red wine. Icaria in Greece. Okinawa in Japan. A lot of these places are plant-based and not plant-based. Some of them eat meat. Some of them. The thing is like there's something that I really want to discuss with you. And like, imagine if Bali became one of these blue zones. Yeah? Imagine if Bali became one of these blue zones. The 6th, the 7th. Yeah? And then we take that back to our communities. Because right now, in Indonesia, they're 124th on the list in terms of longevity. So the average lifespan here is about 69 years. 124th. Imagine if Bali was that one little like framework, that model that you could then use for the other 16,000 islands, right? Now, what they found out, same stuff. Blue zone communities, right tribe, community, move, know your purpose, work as medicine, downshift, relax, 80% rule, don't be so hard on yourself, have some healthy moderation, be more plant-based, wine at 5, that's from Sardinia, family first, connection, and spirituality, connection is medicine again. The key thing out of all of this longevity stuff is this. The key to staying alive is what? Connection. And then do no harm, and then focus on the 5 or the 10% stuff that we all argue about, and then go see your doctors and your health professionals. Yes? I'll clarify that with you, but this is some research from Susan Pinker, so if you want to see the full TEDx talk, she can go through that in a bit more detail. And what if, and I know they're trying to kick me off now, we could literally just flip it. We could literally just flip it. Foundation of blue zones globally. But it starts with us because, and I had we one, but it's connection first. Connection with the people around you is the thing that's going to make you healthy, and then everything is connected to everything. So, without further ado, hopefully that has given you some level of value about the project that I'm working on and the communities, the reason why I'm here working with entrepreneurs and maybe how you fit in with what you're doing, whether it's sustainable development goals or maybe it's within the different paradigms of the 11 medicines I talked about. But I'd love to stay in contact, so feel free to reach out to me, feel free to have a conversation after. And a big thank you to Roger and the Genius Cafe, the Genius staff, Chef Cynthia for the food that she's put on, to Jade, and to all of you for being here. And I went for 26 minutes, so I apologise.
Wait, you don't get away that easy, I'm sorry. Stay right there.
But thank you.
I like it when I don't have to tell them to clap. That's a winner. Who here's read Conversations with God? A few Neil Donald Walshes? Excellent. One thing that hit home for me with what Rory said is a quote I made for myself after I read that book the first time. Life is a choice. It is what I choose. So remembering how Rory started this, only 5% is not up to us. We get the choice to live our life and to treat our meat suits how we want to treat them while we're walking around here, right? So Rory, correct. I want to ask you some questions, and I'm going to open it up to the floor as well. For those of us that travel,
yep.
And a lot of people use that as an excuse of, I can't look after myself, I can only eat this or that because I'm on the road. What would be, say, your top 3 to 5 tips for those of us that live out of a suitcase?
For the travellers? Okay. Tips? Wow. it's you've got to make your choices within the scope of what you're doing. But for me, if I was thinking the things that are going to keep me healthy would be, it's definitely like probably my choice of fuel every day. So if I can choose good quality food, more plant-based, then that's ideal. With everything that I'm doing, 80% plant-based from good quality source. Obviously avoid the things that don't serve me. That's another choice. So that'd be 1 and 2 is fuel myself with that, avoid that. And I think for the travelers is finding tribes. I think this is really big. So wherever you are in the world, find your tribe, find your people. If you want to find people that do what you do, go do what you love. And they'll just happen to be there. And then connect in with them. Maybe that then opens and this is one thing that I really want to challenge everyone to do here tonight, is have a look around the room and just try. It doesn't matter who they are, what status you think they are, what their job is, what their role is, blah, blah, blah. Go say hello, introduce yourself, connect. Because you just never know what's going to happen from there. Get to know people's names, smile, look people in the eye, because I think that level of connection is the thing that's really going to change this world. So they would be probably the 3 things. Food, don't hurt, do no harm, and then connection.
Sorry, I'm on. We're just having a moment connecting over here.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
We met at Afest, Jamaica.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you, Rory. That's awesome. Who's got some questions for Rory around self-care or any of the things he's spoken to? I hear a yes, but I can't see the hand. I'm a bit blind.
What do we got, Rose? Does anyone have a microphone?
Yeah.
So my question is, and it's actually for Brianna, she said, does he have a book? So can you please share what you have coming up?
Yeah, I do actually, yes. But the first thing about this is, and this is something I'm shared from a lot of mentors, you don't write a book to make money. You write a book to have an impact and to change the world, right? So everything I showed you there is just me going wide and deep. I remember I had 5 weeks where, maybe 5 years, where all these pieces were coming together, and I had to have my own experiences to be able to go on my own journey. I ended up wearing elephant pants in Ubud for a little bit. I spent a lot of money. I spent a lot of money seeing health professionals that did absolutely nothing for me and for scans that I never needed. So I just went on an experience, right? But then there was 5 weeks where that download from wherever it came to me, and I wrote a book. And I was up at 7 a.m. in the morning. I went through to 2 a.m. at night, and I was probably meant to be doing one of Roger's promotion plans, but I had to write this freaking book. And 5 weeks of my life disappeared. And yeah, so that finished up March last year, and then it's been editing up until about 2 weeks ago, and I just handed over the manuscript.
On time?
The day before my birthday? No, because I said I was going to do it before the age of 30. So it should be out in the first quarter next year, and that'll be something I'd love to share with you. It is called Self-Care.
Please give him some love on that, because when I met you 18 months ago, I know just how important that book was or is, and it had absolutely nothing to do about his ego or self-promotion or about selling anything. It's really from his heart in terms of how can he help other people not go through what he's been through, and make sure that we have the knowledge and the tools so that we can help ourselves but help each other. And someone so kindly pointed at the TV before and asked me or pointed out that I looked so depressed.
Oy.
And I know, I was like, oh, that's a bit sad. And then someone else asked me how much weight I'd lost. Thank you. And that was...
You look beautiful, by the way. Can we give her a round of applause?
The funny thing is, I haven't actually lost any physical weight.
Yep.
But I changed a lot of stuff after meeting you.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of stuff. Like, to do with mindset, to do with food, to do with everything. And I think that if other people can just have something they can pick up and run with, and I thank you for your contribution to the world on that. So thank you.
Hey, thanks, Jade. Appreciate it.
Rory, can you tell me, I know something else you're doing.
Yeah.
In January. Now, where's my Aussies at?
You.
Who knows Michael Klim?
Clemmy?
Yeah? Got a few... So anyone else a swimming fan, an Olympic swimming fan from around the world? Couple? Well, Rory, I hear, has managed to convince Michael Klim to come to Entrepreneur Resorts and hang out for a few days, yeah?
Yeah, we've got, again, it was the next part of the download was like, we've got to do this belly to belly. So I reached out, we got Mindless Medicine with Joel Brown from Addicted to Success, so about future visions. He's actually,
Afester?
he spoke at Afester.
Yeah.
Michael Klim's going to talk about the rituals, movement is medicine. We've got Brian Swan and Hannah Swan, who's a young girl who's started a fashion brand, sharing about like the lifestyle as medicine, and they're traveling as a family, and that's quite cool. And they've got Di Manuel, who's a beautiful soul. Same thing, he's here in Bali, and he's going to come share on the work is medicine thing. So, yeah, it's just the next stage is again, and I for all of you out there that are doing what you love, you know, get that download, put it out there, write a book if you need to, collaborate with people, and then if you want to do something belly to belly and host a retreat, then do it. But this is definitely the next part of what I'd love to give to the world.
That's awesome. Thank you. And that's, to be able to get those types of people in the room is just, it really is a testament to who you are as a person. And they say you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Absolutely.
If you can get these quality of people to come and hang out with you to share your message, it says there's something really deep and something that really does need to be shared with the world.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Do you have any parting words that you'd like to share, or wisdom, before I start facilitating our tribe connection?
No, just please connect, stay connected, and just keep doing what you're doing, because, you know, like I said, I went to Afest after burnout, and you might be in that stage of your dip or your burnout, and you feel like you don't know where to go next. But if you answer those 3 questions, am I healthy, am I happy, am I connected, you say no to all 3 of them, just do something different. If it means going to getting on a plane and going to Phuket, then do it. But that was my decision. And then I put myself in a community where I had a vision, I had no idea how to execute it. And then what tends to happen is you keep connecting and you keep finding people. And then I met Roger and his community, and they helped me deliver on it. And then you'll find someone for the next part of the puzzle, the next part of the solution. So, yeah, whatever it is for you, whatever part of your journey, just keep going and be heart-spaced and just keep connecting. That would be the key thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Rory. Okay. Before we get started on our connection rituals, I just want to mention, because we've spoken so much about tribe tonight, I wasn't going to go into too much detail, but I think it's really important that I share with you about what the membership is with the Genius Cafe and the movement around the world, because they've got a pretty cool promotion on right now where for $97 you can join for the entire year. You get access to the beach clubs, which gives you super fast Wi-Fi when you're in Bali, which we all know we need, right? But not only that, you get a token to do one of the wealth dynamics tests and really understand your genius. But not only that, someone will actually connect with you and give you a debrief. This stuff's worth hundreds of dollars itself, right? But the main thing is the platform that allows you to connect with those other people around the world that are aligned to the global goals, and that so you can have someone who speaks your language that you can reach out to. Okay, I know there's so much more to do with that package, but I'm not on the sales thing. So if you want to know more about it, please speak to Paulina. I'm just going to throw you in the deep end, okay? Beautiful.